So, hallo, herzlich willkommen zurück zu Let's Play Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. Wir sind wieder in einem Class Trial. In der letzten Folge hat Celeste uns ein bisschen angepisst, sage ich mal, aber letzten Endes, wir konnten uns da wehren. Wir wissen zumindest etwas, was schon sehr offensichtlich war. Super. Schauen wir mal, dass es jetzt ein bisschen spannender wird.
Yeah, the subject of how Robo-Justice didn't do it. Because if it's not a killer robot, then...
Ja, es war jetzt auch die Ansicht von Byakuya und eben auch Makoto, dass unser Hauptverdächtiger nicht der Mörder ist. Also dass Hiro nicht Taka und Hifumi umgebracht hat. Die Frage ist, wer war's? Wenn ihr Ideen habt, lasst die doch ruhig mal in den Kommentaren da. Es gibt ja doch noch einige Leute, die zur Auswahl stehen.
What kind of robot is it?
I'm not sure that really matters.
I'd be happy to explain why the occupant of the suit couldn't possibly be the killer. If you look back on how the body was transported, it will become immediately obvious.
Der hat einen guten Punkt gemacht. If I look at how the body was moved, it'll be clear why the person in the suit couldn't have done it. What does he mean by that?
As we know, Taka was killed in the equipment room. And from there, the body was moved to the repository, correct?
Yeah, the culprit wrapped the body in the tarp, then loaded it onto the dolly and wheeled it off, right?
Now, keep in mind that the dolly doesn't have a handle.
Well, yeah, but even without a handle, all you'd have to do is bend over. Then you could push the dolly no problem. So the killer just crouched down and carted the body off to the repository.
If you accept everything we just said, then you must realize that whoever was in the suit couldn't possibly be the culprit.
Sorry, I don't think I realize anything.
Es ist relativ simpel. The dolly doesn't have any handles, so to push it, you'd have to be able to bend over. But would anyone wearing that suit have been able to actually stoop down like that?
As we know,
Taka was canned from there.
So,
Yeah, then loaded it onto the dolly.
Now,
Moment.
keep in mind.
Well, yeah, but even without a hand, all you'd have to do is bend over.
zack.
No, that's wrong.
You're absolutely right that you could push a dolly without a handle if you stoop down low. But if you were wearing that suit, do you think you could actually get into a position like that?
What do you mean?
Think back to what you said when we were all checking out the suit together. Remember?
I'm blind as a bat in here. Can't see my feet at all. I'm surprised you got anywhere in this thing. I'm telling you, it wasn't me. And not to mention, you totally can't bend at the waist. Seems like a pretty obvious oversight.
When you're in that suit, not only can you not see your feet, but you can't even bend at the waist. Am I right about that?
Now that you mention it, yeah.
It seems like it'd be awfully hard to push that dolly if you couldn't bend over.
Well, what's to stop you from simply pushing the dolly with your feet?
When you can't even see your feet? You really think someone could kick the dolly all that way?
Yeah, it'd be totally impossible. Not that I can say for sure myself.
on top of that, if you were wearing such a rigid, cumbersome suit, it's very unlikely you would have the dexterity to go about wrapping the body in a tarp.
Well, I mean, isn't that just a matter of taking off the suit when you're ready to move the body?
There's absolutely no chance that the costume was taken off just to move the body, because you can't take it off by yourself.
I got it! I don't think taking off the suit was an option. If you remember...
I don't know what's up with this thing, but I can't actually get it off. A little help? Why would you make something that you can't take off by yourself? I didn't make the stupid friggin' thing. There's a clasp on the back that's keeping you from getting it off. It looks pretty sturdy. I don't think you can get it off on your own. We don't really have a choice. Let's help him.
That's true. It Seems impossible to put the suit on or take it off without help.
Then, you really can't take it off by yourself? Hero wasn't just making it up?
Of course I wasn't making it up.
If he could have gotten it off by himself, I don't think he would have let us see him wearing it. Showing up in the suit was basically an invitation for everyone to suspect it.
Yeah, that's right.
So, it's really, really true that Robo-Justice couldn't have moved the dolly?
To be clear, whoever did move the body, it couldn't have been Hero in the robot suit, correct?
No, wait. Just a second, if you please. Have you forgotten about the picture that I took? You all got a good look at it, did you not? The image of Hifumi being dragged away by Robo-Justice? If whoever was in that suit is not the culprit, how do you explain that? Besides, do you remember what the now deceased Hifumi said?
How did you get hurt?
That guy hit me.
What guy?
Robo-Justice. That's what I decided to call him just now.
So long as those facts exist, the proper conclusion is beyond question. The individual inside the suit and the culprit are one and the same. It was Hero, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's gotta be right.
Hold on a second.
It's still far too early to reach that conclusion. Besides, there's no hurry to decide who did it. Before we rush to a verdict, shouldn't we explore every single possibility? Instead of seizing on one viewpoint, the truth is uncovered by analyzing things from every angle.
Perhaps, but where do we go from here?
Let's review this series of unfortunate events from the beginning. Maybe we'll uncover something new.
What a pain in the ass!
I don't disagree, but our lives are on the line. If this is what it takes, we have to do it.
Plus, maybe we'll get to find out where the heck Kyoko was when everything went down.
All right then, let's take another look back at what happened.
Ich setze mich kurz etwas anders hin.
I suppose we could start with this morning. 4 of us gathered together in the dining hall. Makoto, Hina, Kyoko, and myself. We waited there for quite a while, but nobody else showed up, so we went to look for everyone. That was around 8 a.m.
And as soon as we split up, Kyoko went missing.
Soon after that, Hina found Celeste in the rec room and quickly came to get Makoto and me.
It seems I was unconscious for about an hour after I was attacked by my mystery assailant. I know it was an hour because I remember being attacked a little after 7.
That was when we saw Celeste's picture and discovered that her assailant had been wearing a strange costume. As it turns out, it was Robo-Justice. It also soon became clear that this same Robo-Justice had abducted Hifumi. We were soon joined in our search by Byakuya and Toko, and then went on to find Hifumi in the library. He was injured, so we took him to the nurse's office and resumed our search for the suspect. But not long after leaving the nurse's office...
What's wrong? I saw a shadow, something moving around at the top of the stairs.
When Celeste told us that, we decided to split up and search the second floor. And soon after that,
I saw someone moving around on the 3rd floor, and I yelled out to everyone as soon as I did.
Celeste, what's wrong? That was a rather intense scream for someone like you. I saw him, the strange costumed man. He ran off as soon as I screamed. Was blocking the stairs, so headed further down to the hallway and disappeared.
and then...
Den Schrei mache ich jetzt nicht nach. Huh? What was that? That came from downstairs. It must have been... Hifumi, he's in the nurse's office. This is bad. Come on, we have to go back.
At that point, we decided to divide up into 2 groups. Celeste, Hina, and I went back to the nurse's office, while Sakura, Byakuya, and Toko chased after the suspect. When we got back to the nurse's office, we found Hifumi, dead. And that's when we heard the body discovery announcement. I left Celeste and Hina there and headed back to the 3rd floor to let the others know what had happened.
Meanwhile, we had just discovered Taka's body in the equipment room. We must have found both bodies at almost exactly the same time, because we heard the same announcement not long after we discovered his body.
And that's when I told you guys about Hifumi. Then the 3 of us headed for the nurse's office. But right after we left the physics lab, we ran into Celeste, who'd arrived after us, and she told us something very surprising.
Hifumi's body has disappeared.
We rushed back to the nurse's office and saw that she was right.
Then we remembered we'd left Toko passed out in the equipment room, so we hurried back again.
This can't be happening.
Are we hallucinating all this or something?
But when we got there, we discovered that now Taka's body had also gone missing. Next thing we knew, we were searching the school for 2 missing dead bodies. And after some time...
Celeste informed us that she'd found the bodies, and we all headed to the repository, which is where we rediscovered the corpses.
I think that about covers it.
I see. The whole thing sounds exceptionally complicated. It certainly seems to me that these are not a simple series of connected events.
Okay, well, if that's true, then what?
Rather than a single series of events, I think we have to consider each murder a separate situation. And from there, we can uncover the contradictions surrounding all of them. Now then, let's get started, beginning with what happened to Taka.
The contradictions hidden in what happened to Taka. In order to uncover the truth of this case, I have to find them, no matter what.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
The Justice Hammers were numbered, but were they really used in that order?
So, regarding, I wonder if, or perhaps it was, we already know what order they were killed. Taka came
Ach
last.
Mist, warum zum Henker ist das jetzt plötzlich beschleunigt worden?
Because of the numbering of
Okay,
the Justice.
rechter Button, dann kann ich das ein bisschen...
So it's obvious Taka
So.
came. So, I wonder if, or perhaps it was, we already know what order they were killed in.
Was? Ach, das war der Fehler? Oh Mist. Okay. Moment.
So,
Moment.
regarding Taka's
Ich muss mal
death,
kurz gucken.
I
Hoppla,
wonder if
falsch.
he died before Hifumi.
So, hier kann ich nachgucken. Cause of death for each of the blow, it is thought they were both killed with a similar weapon.
Or perhaps it was, we
So.
already know what Taka came last.
What
Okay.
makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammer.
Das könnte natürlich sein, dass das... Das ist auch ein Fehler? Hä? Okay, was ist der richtige Punkt, ist die Frage.
So, regarding Taka's death,
I wonder if, or perhaps
Moment.
it was, we already know Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed, while Taka's death came from...
See? So it's obvious.
Ah,
Taka
Moment.
came after.
Jetzt, ich muss eins davon aufnehmen als Dings. Moment.
So, regarding,
Das
I
ergibt
wonder
Sinn.
if, or perhaps it was, we already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
Okay.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
Und wenn ich das jetzt nehme?
True that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3.
Ich glaube nicht, dass... Ist das jetzt richtig, ist die Frage?
So it's obvious Taka came after.
Kann auch sein, dass ich mich jetzt gerade richtig reinreite.
Regarding, I wonder if you were
Das ist manchmal so bei Danganronpa ein bisschen problematisch. Jetzt haben wir es. Okay, passt. Das ist aber auch ein bisschen missverständlich.
There's no reason to assume that the hammers were used in the same order as their numbers. If anything, that's just another way the killer tried to disguise their actions.
So you're saying the culprit wanted us to think the hammers were used in order, but in reality, Taka was killed before Hifumi? Okay then, let's see the proof.
Evidence that proves Taka was killed before Hifumi. There's something that relates to what time he must have died. Okay. Hangman's Gambit, wir kennen's. Okay, Wristwatch. Ach, da. Wo ist ein S hier? Wie bitte? Jetzt noch ein H und zack. Wristwatch.
I got it! Taka's wristwatch! See? Look! It broke with the hands pointing just past 6 o'clock.
It must have gotten broken when he was attacked by the killer. Because as of last night...
Hey you! How long were you gonna keep us waiting? Taka's irritated voice pierced the air as he stared pointedly at his wristwatch. It's almost 10 o'clock, you know that? Bad time for all the little boys and girls.
So if it wasn't broken after 6 last night, then he must have been attacked around 6 this morning.
And that would be his official time of death.
But if that's true, then he was killed well before Hifumi.
And before Celeste was attacked this morning, which happened around 7.
That's right. Taka was killed before any of the other incidents took place.
That simple fact slipped past all of us. We made the wrong assumption about the order of events, all because of those justice hammers.
That's exactly why the culprit wrote the numbers on each hammer and had them increase in size. That way, when we saw how they were used in each incident, we'd easily make that wrong assumption.
Now, if Taka was killed around 6, then everyone's alibis for his murder go out the window. Because when he was killed, we hadn't met up in the dining hall yet.
That may be true in the case of Taka's murder. But all of our alibis still hold true for Hifumi's death.
That's right. With him, at least, we're all safe.
Huh? What was that? That came from downstairs. It must have been... Hifumi, he's in the nurse's office. This is bad. Come on, we have to go back.
When we heard Hifumi screaming, we were all together. Except for Hiro and Kyoko. Then we all ran down to the nurse's office, and that's where we found his body.
That's totally true. We're all in the clear.
Oh, I know! They must have recorded him screaming on a tape or something, then played it later on!
If that's true, where's the tape?
I don't know.
Don't just go making stuff up.
Anyway, we all have rock-solid alibis for when we heard Hifumi scream. Since all of us were there together, clearly none of us could have killed him.
And it does not stop there. There was also the moment when we discovered his body had disappeared. When his body vanished from the nurse's office, Hina and I were in the bathroom together, while everyone else was in the equipment room, correct? And then there's the disappearance of Taka's body from the equipment room. At that time, we were all gathered together in the nurse's office because of Hifumi going missing.
Well, don't forget, I was passed out in the equipment room the whole time.
Wait, then what if Genocide Jill did it? She could have dragged Taka's body out of there right then!
Even if she could pull that off, there's no way she could have done the same with Hifumi's body. Because, as we just established, she was passed out in the equipment room when his body disappeared.
Besides, I didn't do either of them anyway.
In other words, it is impossible that any of us could have killed Hifumi or moved either of their bodies. On the other hand, Hiro and Kyoko had disappeared, so they most certainly could have done those things.
So what now, Kyoko?
For now, we can't get fixated on who did it, or we'll just keep going around in circles. So instead of who, I propose we start talking about how. In particular, I think we need to figure out how Hifumi's body got moved.
That's true. We searched everywhere, but we couldn't figure out how to explain his body disappearing. And according to what Celeste said,
We could not have been gone for more than a minute or two, though. So then the killer was able to get in. And move Hifumi's body in that short amount of time? It would seem so.
his body apparently disappeared in the 1 minute her and Hina took their eyes off of it. But to carry that much weight from the first floor up to the third in that short amount of time?
Oh man, yeah! There's no way! It'd be impossible!
Well, what if I told you there was a way to make the impossible possible?
What? How?
If the dead body were to move itself.
The dead body moved on its own?
No! Not another... ghost!
I don't think it has anything to do with the occult. I think what she's implying is, we thought Hifumi was dead, but perhaps in reality he was still alive.
He was... alive?
Are you saying Hifumi wasn't carried out of the nurse's office, but simply walked out on his own?
But I mean, we found his body. He was dead.
Perhaps he was simply playing dead.
That it isn't possible.
The idea that Hifumi was still alive, is it really possible? Das wird uns nicht weiterhelfen.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
Nehmen wir mal mit, ist wahrscheinlich falsch.
It is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
Ah,
And that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
da haben wir's. I'm sure the body discovery announcement was only made once. But Hifumi and Taka's bodies were discovered at almost exactly the same time.
Are you saying that when we first found there's a
So,
No, Hifumi was dead,
And you know that how?
surely you heard the body discovery announcement of Hifumi's dead body had been found.
da haben wir's.
No, it's wrong. Was the body discovery announcement that was made really intended for Hifumi?
Of course it was. The announcement played right after we discovered his body.
Maybe. But that was also the same time that Taka's body was found.
That's right. It wasn't long after finding his body that we heard the announcement.
So there's a good chance we've made a mistake in there somewhere. I think we've confused whether the announcement was for Hifumi or Taka.
First of all, if 2 bodies had been found, there really should have been 2 announcements.
Maybe Monokuma simply got lazy and rolled them together into one.
What do you say, Monokuma? Any comment?
Well, it's a very sensitive issue, so I can't go into too much detail. But what I can say about the body discovery announcement is that it's only broadcast when 3 or more people find a dead body for the first time.
Das ist ein interessantes Detail. Und ich würde sagen, mit diesem Detail beenden wir die heutige Folge. Ich hoffe, ihr hattet Spaß. Lasst konstruktive Kritik, vielleicht ein Däumchen nach oben da, wenn es euch soweit gefallen hat. Und ja, dann sehen wir uns beim nächsten Mal wieder. Das ist das Let's Play Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. Bis dahin. Cheerio!